Jace Thomas, Morning Blend. I have my two favorite critics with me. I have Janelle and I have Tony. We have seen, Janelle and I saw two movies. Tony saw two movies and a disaster movie. We're going to get started with Fancy Dance. And Fancy Dance stars Academy Award nominee Lily Gladstone and Isabel DeRoy Olsen. I thought she was really good in this. It was very good. I want to get started with it because I just finished watching it early this morning. Man, her character was a rogue. That's all I got to say. She. If you watch the movie several times over, you can learn how to get free gas and do a few other things too. That was just amazing the way that she was so roguish. I like the way that it ended because we knew what was happening during the entire movie, even though she's looking for her sister the entire time and trying to hang on to her niece. It was just very interesting. The entire story was very good. But again, oh, and then one more, that new house. I'm gonna try that one time, just in case. I'm gonna try it one time. Janelle, what did you think about Fancy Dance? Oh, that's right,
See
Tony. What
it.
did you think about Fancy Dance?
Look, this is a beautiful but heartbreaking depiction of life on the reservation and really their plague of missing persons cases. It's pulse pounding, but it's also very slow burning, but it's a mystery full of indigenous culture, which was really nice to see. And Lily Gladstone commands with another masterful performance. I mean, she's fantastic. It's raw, it's personal. And Isabel DeRoy Olsen has an unforgettable breakthrough. And it looks like I'm frozen.
It looks like he's breaking up. He's breaking up.
There
Anyway,
we go.
one of the
But
things I enjoyed about it too was Forrest Whitaker was one of the executive producers.
yeah, so that was nice to see. And here's the thing, like, I honestly would put this above in terms of the power, the rawness. I would put this above of Lily Gladstone's Killers of the Flower Moon performance. I thought this was just so natural, and it was such a deeply personal subject for her. And I really like that, it didn't focus on the missing person. It didn't focus on her missing sister. Sure, it's there, but it's really just how hard life can be on the reservation, how stubborn it can be for them to leave. But it's a relationship between an aunt and a niece, which is clearly more than that. And how about the blatant lack of care that's showcased here? There's an Amber Alert that goes out. We're not going to get into major plot points here, but immediately feds are on this, and this girl's sister's been missing for weeks, and
Right.
they can't even get a call through. And I know it's a film, I understand that, but this is clearly taken from real life, and it's really sad to see. But it's definitely worth a watch on Apple TV if it's on in theaters near you.
I
I highly
agree.
recommend this one.
I agree. What was your rated?
I give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really well done film, and Lily Gladstone and Isabel DeRoy Olsen are reason enough alone to see it.
I would give it 4 out of 5 too. So let's move on to Daddio. It's a movie that we all got a chance to see. Daddio actually only has 4 stars in it, which is interesting. Well, I'm going to name the two: Dakota Johnson, which is Don Johnson's daughter, and Sean Penn, written and directed by Christy Hall. The idea is a young lady comes from New York City to the JFK airport. Wow, that was a very long ride all the way home, I thought, definitely. Anyway, she jumps into the backseat of a cab, and that's the entire movie. Janelle, what did you think of Daddy-O?
Was actually quite surprised about how engrossing it was. I wasn't expecting much, I guess. When you hear that it's a movie just built in about a conversation between two people in a cab, you're like, let's see how this goes. But I really felt like Dakota Johnson really held her own with Sean Penn. They had great back and forth. I think it was a great insight into the dynamics between the sexes, between generations. Just the juxtaposition of the conversation she's having with her versus the conversations he's having on her phone. While he's giving unsolicited advice, she's seemingly taking it and at the same time seemingly not. I thought it was very well done and actually surprisingly emotional at the end. I was quite taken about how much emotion it kind of wallops you with, like right there at the end in those closing moments. So yeah, I thought it was very, very surprisingly good.
Tony?
I agree. I found it really surprisingly introspective and thought provoking. It largely takes place in the cab, right? Like we said, yes, there's a delay to make it stretch to a feature length for sure. but that just intimate setting of two people in a cab really allowed Dakota Johnson and Sean Penn a chance to dig in here and just bare their souls. Yes, it is a film, but some of that you could tell was from a personal place, and it really gave us that real, authentic feeling, which really kind of elevates the film. And they showcase that rawness in different moments. Obviously, they touch on things such as childhood, adulthood, affairs, marriage, existence in general. But this is something that isn't going to be for everyone. I understand that, but for those that give it a chance, this really hooked me in more than I was expecting for sure.
I have to agree with you on that too. And based on the poster behind you, it actually really it kind of tells its own story about the movie because you're looking at Dakota Johnson and she's actually thinking. She's the one who's getting a little emotional. And Sean Penn looks like he's giving that wise advice. You're exactly right, Janelle. I'll be the first one to say 4 out of 5 for this one too. Janelle?
Agree. It's a 4 out of 5. It like I said, it's very surprising from beginning to end, and it really does kind of keep you just glued to the screen with those two.
Tony?
4 out of 5 as well. This was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't able to make it to the theater with you guys to see it, and I didn't ask for anything ahead of time. Like, what do we think? And sat down, pressed play, and it was engrossing the whole time. I was very surprised by it.
All right, let's go on to the disaster movie that Tony saw. It's called Janet Planet. Tony, take it away.
Well, it's not really fair to call it a disaster film. There was a lot of heart and soul put into this. I don't like to, stomp on anybody's dream. Annie Baker is a star of the stage. She's produced a number of award-winning screenplays for the stage. It just doesn't translate to the film. So it's an intimate, deeply personal coming-of-age story revolving around a mother and being raised a single mother and the daughter as well. But the mother's still figuring out her own life. Now, Julianne Nicholson and Zoe Ziegler, they do share a very authentic and natural relationship. Neither are very strong in the acting, category here, but you do buy that they're a mother and daughter. There's a few moments of clarity here in its message, but for me, this was really it was really like a therapy session. Cathartic and necessary for sure, but this is one that's not going to connect with that many viewers. A few things were of note here is the camera work. I know that's, camera, everyone talks about cinematography. The framing here, she does a great job framing these shots, and a lot of it is taking place with stationary camera, and it's just very, very well done in that. I am intrigued to see what she does in the future. I think she does have potential, but this is one that unless you can say you are the child of a single parent that was struggling, trying to figure out life, and coming up at that time, it's not going to connect with that many viewers, unfortunately.
What would you rate it?
I'd give it 2.5 out of 5. Like I said, there are some moments here where there is promise for sure. There is painfully slow pacing, and that's something people need to know ahead of time. It's going to, when you walk out of there, you're definitely going to be in a very negative mood. There's a lot to think on after the fact. So I did originally think 2 out of 5. I elevated that to 2.5 after some thought.
As I said, disaster movie, Janet Planet. All right, folks, here we go. That's the movies for this week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.